Bill?
About Jordan Hall, what do you see kind of that we don't see as far as what makes him special as a player, unique as a person, anything like that?
You know, he's a competitor. I think that's probably the one thing you can talk about as much as anything. There's guys with all kinds of abilities. And when you get to college and when you get to the next level, those abilities become closer and closer. And I think the things that separate people are their competitive nature. And I think that's the one thing I would say about Jordan. Yes, he's very good in the things he does, but he's a competitor. Whether you put him back there as to return the kick or you put him up at the front line to be one of the front line guys that block. I'll tell you right now, if we took him over on defense, he'd start somewhere on defense too, just because of the competitor that he is.
Marty?
A lot's been asked about your offense as far as the personality.
He's a radio guy.
That's right, I can't turn the mic on, yeah. About your offense trying to gain a personality. With what Braxton brings to the package, are you clear or defined with what your offense is right now?
Yes and no. I mean, we know we've got to be balanced, and I think that's the big thing, and we've got to find more balance. That's not always easy to do. Like I said, we may have called a lot more passes last week than we actually threw, but you know, we're going to continue to tweak those things and find different ways that we can do what we do and get better at them. But we know we need to have balance, and you know, in what way we'll continue to figure that one out.
Kevin? Luke back here on the cameras. I know you really can't prepare for a trick play, but last year Michigan State pulled off probably one of the best ones in recent memory of that little Giants play. I mean, how do you preach to a younger team how do you prepare for the possibility of something like that coming down the road?
It starts with fundamentals. You got to be fundamentally sound, and to me, defensively, that's kind of what we do. You know, we maybe don't get into the scheme as much as things as we do, just making sure that we're sound in what we do. So pretty much you hope that you got an awareness of everything that's going on. But, you know, the hard part about those kinds of things is you can't sit there and try and wait for them all game. You know, if you're sitting there looking for it all game, then you're probably missing 90% of what's happening. But you got to just be aware to be able to react to the things that you see.
On Jordan Hall again, just the fact that, you know, he was friends with Terrell Pryor going back to high school and that kind of thing. Did you ever have any concern? Did you ever see anything that, with everything that happened with Terrell, was it ever difficult for Jordan?
No, Jordan's his own person. And like I said, Jordan is solid, and you know, it was never a thing when you recruited him that there were two guys that had to go to the same place by any means. It was a completely separate issue.
Joseph?
Luke, talk a little bit about Kirk Cousins, what kind of a player he is, and what kind of challenges he presents for a defense.
He's a very good football player. Obviously very smart. I'm sure all of you have seen his speech he gave at the Big Ten Conference. I mean, just an unbelievable young man. Obviously a senior who controls the offense very well. Obviously he throws the ball well. You know, I think the biggest thing is he just has command of the offense. He's got some weapons that they can do a lot of different things. You know, they can run the football well. They can get out and spread the field and throw the football well. But that's because they got a quarterback that can handle those different situations. And you know, is he a guy that's flashy? Is he going to run all over the place? No. But he's going to control the offense. He's going to get the ball where it's supposed to go. He's going to read the coverages. He's going to read the defense. He's going to get them in and out of the things they need to get in and out of. And that's what every team's looking for, is a field commander like that.
Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken, I think has 25 players from Ohio on its roster. Do you guys, when you're out recruiting, do you bump into them a lot? Is there a lot of competition between Ohio State and Michigan State for players, or do you feel their presence in the state?
Oh yeah, they do a great job in state, and you know, they make it harder on us. They make it harder on everybody, and you know, recruiting is always, you know, one of those things that it's not a perfect science, and you know, what they think of somebody and what we think of somebody might be two different things. You know, and who knows? I mean, you don't really know what's deep inside that person a lot of times, and inside that heart. There's very few that are obvious, but they do a great job in the state of Ohio, and we battle with them all the time.
And because they have so many players from Ohio, I would take it that there might be a little bit more emotion on their side for a game, since many of them are coming home.
I'm sure. I mean, you know, obviously Coach Dantonio is from Ohio. A lot of their coaches are from Ohio. Dr. Dressel's son's on the staff. I mean, there's all kinds of little things here that can fire them up. But I mean, again, it's a Big Ten game. I think that's the most important thing. It's the start of the Big Ten season. whether there's little side things or side stories or not, I'm sure there are in every week, but it's still about Michigan State and Ohio State and the opening of the Big Ten.
A few more questions, Matt.
Lou, you touched on this a little bit when you're talking about Braxton carrying the ball, but where do you, as coaches, because he's got that special ability, is there a line that you got to find with, turning that loose with, maybe you ought to slide here and things like that for his longevity, and how much of a difficult process is that to not take away what makes him special, but at the same time understand what the season needs?
That's a difficult situation, and you just got to talk to him about it. And we say it all the time. I don't know about you, but if you're a competitor, sometimes those things are harder to learn. You go out there to play a pickup basketball game, and all of a sudden you come off the floor with cuts and scrapes and bruises because, what am I doing diving out here playing racquetball? Those are things that aren't the easiest things to teach. But you know what? I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather have that guy that's a competitor that, you're worried about playing a pickup basketball game because he only does things at one speed. And when he gets out there, he's going to be competitive. Obviously, we're going to have to, help him through those things and try and coach him through those things. But, I'd rather have it that way than a guy that is worried the other way.
Lori?
Luke, obviously both are important for an offense, but which is more important to the success of an offense, minimizing risk or maximizing opportunity?
I don't know if you can answer that. It's a little bit of both, just like you said. It's you got to have it all. Just like you got to have balance, you got to have some risk and have some reward. But you also got to make sure you're taking what's given to you. And different games and different situations, depending on how things are going, you got to have the ability to do both. So you got a plan and you just got to stick with it, but you can.
With the Big Ten season coming up, do you need to sort of up the risk-reward ratio?
Depends on how the game goes at times. Again, we can only do what our guys can handle. Us as coaches spend plenty of time in here thinking of things and coming up with new ideas and things that we think would be perfect to this, that, or the other thing. But ultimately what it comes down to is what they can handle. What they understand is much more important than what we understand. So we got to find that balance.
Luke, you mentioned, Braxton mentioned earlier in preseason that he's trying to catch up as far as the playbook goes. How has he progressed in that?
He's like a freshman. He's doing a better job. I think the more you become involved in doing it, obviously you start to learn a little bit better. A lot of these guys, like myself, are probably a little bit more learned by doing. And sometimes in practice you think you know it, and you get out in the game and you realize, wow, it happens a little bit faster. I didn't quite know it. So I think he's done a good job. He's going to continue to do a good job. But it's on us now to make sure that we can, only put the things in his hands that we think he can handle. So, how much that is and what, we'll continue to see.
Tim, we'll wrap it up with you.
Look, are you curious at all about the game at Madison on Saturday night? Nebraska versus Wisconsin. You guys are playing the one of the trot champs from last year also. But just are you curious at all about that game, the Nebraska-Wisconsin game?
I didn't know they were playing. I didn't really. I got enough things. I don't even know when my kids played, let alone who else plays. So, I wish someday I hope I can balance it out well enough that I can enjoy watching other people play and knowing what other people, who's got who. And but for now, unfortunately, I got a little bit of blinders, and I'm going to continue to worry about what we got.